In a world where beauty can be a curse and every wish comes with a price, Lin Mian feels the weight of her family's expectations crashing down around her. With her youth fading and debts mounting, she steps into a lavish nightclub where the air is thick with intrigue and glittering promises. The booming bass of the music echoes her racing heart as she scans the crowd, feeling out of place among the wealthy and powerful. It's there, in a dimly lit corner, that she encounters the formidable CEO, Qin Li, his dark eyes concealing ambition as deep as the night itself. Sworn to protect her family's honor, she reluctantly listens as he proposes a deal. Help to lift her family out of financial ruin in exchange for her loyalty. Against her better judgment, she agrees, unaware that the pact will entangle her in a web of deception and danger. As the days turn into a whirlwind of parties and luxury, Lin Mian feels both enchanted and trapped. She catches glimpses of Qin Li's true world, a realm where human dignity is traded like currency and power makes the rules. Her initial awe begins to wane as troubling whispers of secrets and violence surface at every grand affair. She struggles internally, her heart pulling her toward freedom, while her brain insists she must honor the price she's paid. The tension heightens when she learns that the people around her are not quite what they seem. Alliances shift like shadows in the night. Trust begins slipping through her fingers with a chilling realization. One of Qin Li's closest aides is involved in illicit dealings that threaten to expose her family's darkest secrets as well. Meanwhile, Lin Mian's childhood friend, senses her distress and begins piecing together the threads of her disappearance. Every late-night call she avoids, and every rose he sends goes unanswered, igniting an overwhelming sense of urgency in him. His heart races as he discovers the nightclub's underbelly and the dangers lurking there, propelling him to make a fateful decision. He will confront Qin Li, but as fate would have it, he's forced to marry Qian Mingju, the beautiful but calculating daughter of an influential family, as a means to gain her family's resources for Lin Mian's rescue. Consumed by turmoil, Lin grapples with his loyalties, caught in a merging tide of desire and desperation. In a dramatic twist of fate, Lin Mian is seized by Qin Li's men and whisked away under the cover of darkness to M Country, where the reality unfurls harshly. The glitzy allure of the club fades into a nightmare, and she finds herself trapped within the formidable walls of a corrupt empire, unmasking Qin Li's involvement in human trafficking and political manipulation. When Lin finally orchestrates her daring escape, the air crackles with unresolved tension. They confront a reality more complex than they had imagined, discovering that Qian Mingju is not only embroiled in the plot, but is also orchestrating the very chaos they aim to escape. Together, Lin Mian and Lin wrestle against the odds, determined to dismantle the twisted schemes of those who threaten their lives. But every move they make reverberates against the fragile balance of their hearts. As they weave their way back to safety, the furor explodes. Qin Li reveals his intent to destroy Lin's newfound family, leveraging secrets that strike at the core of Qian Mingju's power. The powerful confrontation reaches a fever pitch as loyalties unravel and truths are laid bare. Lin Mian, fueled by righteous anger and newfound courage, stands up, not only for her own life, but for those who can't defend themselves. In the aftermath of chaos, Lin Mian is left to pick up the pieces of her shattered reality. While she and Lin share a lingering bond, their paths diverge as he remains bound to Qian Mingju, though his heart aches. Lin Mian focuses on rebuilding her future, stepping into a role where she becomes a beacon of hope for others, dedicating herself to fighting for women's rights. She transforms her pain into purpose, finding strength in her independence. As she steps out into her new life, there's a bittersweet pang of love, and what might have been with Lin. But she knows that freedom to choose her own destiny outweighs the comfort of yesterday's ties. In a world still shadowed by the dark memories of her past, Lin Mian walks forward, resolute and unyielding, ready to shape a future marked not by the chains of fear, but by the promise of empowerment and self-discovery. In the theater of life, she finally takes center stage, authentically and unabashedly living for herself. What if a beautiful illusion leads you straight into a nightmare? Lin Mian stepped into the glamorous realm of the elite, dressed in designer silks, her heart racing at the thrill and fear of it all. Each beat resonated with her family's pressing need for financial relief, which she believed she could secure through her newfound connection with Qin Li, the enigmatic CEO whose presence both captivated and terrified her. His dangerously charming smile masked a world of shadows she couldn't yet comprehend. When he presented her with an alluring promise, a chance to escape her desperate financial situation, she signed on the dotted line, oblivious to the darkness that loomed ahead. Days turned into nights in a blur of lavish parties and extravagant gifts. Lin Mian found herself swept away in a whirlwind of opulence that seemed to erase her struggles. Yet, as the glitz dulled, an unease began to gnaw at her heart. Whispers floated through the air, hints of something sinister hidden beneath the surface. A world where lives were traded and dreams perverted into nightmares. Lin Mian's nights became restless, filled with anxiety, as she witnessed unsettling glances exchanged between Qin Li and his associates. An ordinary agreement soon felt like a stepping stone into a treacherous abyss. Her worst fears crystallized one fateful evening when Qin Li's men forcibly seized her, blindfolding and whisking her away to M country. Stripped of her freedom and engulfed in confusion, she had a haunting realization. This wasn't a simple financial arrangement. As she sat in a dark room, breathing in the heavy scent of smoke and looming danger, the sheer magnitude of Qin Li's empire revealed itself to her. With a trembling heart, she learned of his involvement in human trafficking and political machinations. A world where innocence was a commodity, and she had unwittingly become a pawn in his elaborate scheme. Each discovery chipped away at her hope, replacing it with sheer terror. Help found her in an unexpected form. Shi Lin, her childhood friend, who had never given up on her despite the increasing distance. Armed with love and determination, he dug deep, unearthing secrets that connected her abduction to the sordid network of crime. His resolve to save her took shape in the form of determination, but it was a path rife with complications. As he navigated through the murky waters of loyalty and betrayal, he was forced into an unexpected marriage with Qian Mingzhu, the daughter of a powerful family aligned with Qin Li. Each day, Shi Lin felt the weight of this new allegiance pressing down on him, even as he fought to rescue Lin Mian from the clutches of despair. Moments stretched thin and haunting as Lin Mian waited for rescue, caught between the nightmares of her captivity and the fleeting memories of laughter shared with Shi Lin. When Shi Lin finally bursts onto the scene where she was held, their eyes connected. And in that moment, a world-writing swell of hope surged through her. The reunion was bittersweet, festering with the pain of their realities. They fought to break free from their foes, yet every victory felt thin, underscored by the lingering shadow of Qin Li, who was now more than a man. They realized he was a monster willing to exploit every relationship for his own gain. In a climactic confrontation drenched in tension, Lin Mian and Shi Lin came face to face with Qin Li, the air crackling with desperation and fury. As the stakes rose, secrets spilled, revealing stunning ties between Qian Mingzhu and Qin Li, ripping apart the fragile trust Lin Mian had unconsciously formed. In a tense standoff, Lin Mian fought against not just her captor, but her fears, drawing strength from her love for Shi Lin and the countless women who had suffered at the hands of men like Qin Li. She confronted the truth of her own strength, claiming back her narrative as the echoes of her spirit began to overpower her dark past. Emerging from the wreckage of their confrontation, Lin Mian struggled to reclaim her shattered life. The tapestries of her once innocent dreams had frayed and faded into unrecognizable silks, yet amidst the chaos, a flicker of resilience burned. Shi Lin, bound in his precarious marriage, advised her to reclaim her dignity and redefine her legacy. Though their connection, once ripe with possibility, felt burdened by lost time, Lin Mian paved her own way, channeling her pain into empowering women like herself. Each step she took echoed with purpose, creating ripples of hope through the lives of those she sought to uplift. As Lin Mian addressed the scars of her past, she stood tall against the winds of uncertainty. Her journey, while irrevocably altered, shaped her into a woman of profound strength and compassion. Although love lingered between her and Shilin, the realities of their choices echoed around them, bittersweet yet resolved. Lin Mian embraced her new role as a champion for the voiceless, determined to shield others from the darkness she had encountered. With every sunrise illuminating her path, she dared to walk forward, unafraid, fiercely independent, and finally, the master of her own destiny. What if love drove you into the heart of danger? Shulin stood at the edge of a bustling street, frustration pooling within him like a storm cloud. Lin Mian, the girl he had grown up with, the one whose laughter filled his memories, had vanished without a trace, leaving only a haunting silence in her wake. A subtle instinct urged him to search for her, instilling a burning sense of urgency and love that propelled him into the underbelly of the city. With each passing day, the weight of his concern morphed into a singular resolve. He couldn't rest until he uncovered the truth about her disappearance. Every corner he turned led him deeper into a maze of deceit, where whispers of trafficking and betrayal lurked in dark alleyways and dimly lit phone calls. He learned of her ties to Qin Li, the ominous CEO known for his ruthless business dealings and connection to a shadowy world. The more Shilin discovered, the more he felt a chilling connection to Lin Mian's plight. It was not simply her life that hung in the balance, it was his heart, tethered to her in ways he had not dared to acknowledge until now. Each step brought him face to face with increasing danger, the stakes rising as he sought allies to unveil the truth behind the glamorous facade. Potential supporters remained elusive, caught in the web of Qin Li's influence. When Shilin reached the boiling point of desperation, he found himself cornered by Chen Mingju, stunning and cunning, the daughter of a wealthy family entwined in the same intricate dangers. She offered a lifeline, a connection to resources and information crucial for his search, but at an unfathomable cost. In order to gain her family's support, Shilin would have to marry her, a proposal laden with desperation and sacrifice, striking at the core of his emerging feelings for Lin Mian. Facing this difficult choice, Shilin felt the fractures of his heart spread deeper. His nights grew restless, plagued by visions of Lin Mian, her eyes shining with hope, only to fade into shadows. He stood alone, gripped by a conflict that laid bare his deepest insecurities, questioning whether he could trust the intoxicating charm of Chen Mingju and navigate his way through the complexities of his own heart. The love he harbored for Lin Mian wasn't just a superficial longing, it was an unyielding devotion that grew under the pressures he faced. The day came when everything collided. A clandestine meeting arranged by Chen Mingju led Shilin to a revelation that shook the very foundation of his determination. He overheard evidence of Lin Mian's captivity, the threads of multiple lives tangled within the same narrative of shadow. It dawned on him that Chen Mingju held more influence in this game than he'd realized. She was not merely a pawn in Qin Li's schemes. Her involvement could bridge the chasm or plunge them all into perilous depths. Realizing he could not move forward without confronting both Chen Mingju and Qin Li, an electric tension ignited within him. He made a choice driven by love and the need to act, not just for Lin Mian, but for his own redemption. Under the starlit sky, Shilin approached Chen Mingju, the weight of their circumstances guiding his words. "I need your help to rescue Lin Mian, or I cannot go through with this marriage." Chen Mingju's initial shock shifted to contemplation as an unexpected connection began to form between them, each grappling with the roles they had unwittingly stepped into. As they navigated the treacherous waters of alliance and trust, a newfound partnership emerged from necessity, one that challenged their perceptions of loyalty and love. Shilin leaned on every bit of strength he had gathered, flooding each moment with a blend of hope and terror as they devised a plan to confront the layered darkness surrounding Qin Li and the network of crime that ensnared Lin Mian. In a climactic showdown, the trio clashed against their shared adversary. With Lin Mian somewhere in the shadows, Lin knew their moment was at hand. They fought not just for her life but for their very futures, forging a bond solidified by shared sacrifice and resilience. The walls of deception crumbled, and in that whirlwind of chaos, Lin understood what was at stake, emotions that transcended the bounds of one person's heart into a narrative of collective survival. Through triumph and tribulation, Lin emerged transformed, no longer a boy holding on to what he feared to lose, but a man driven by the relentless call of love and duty. Lin Mian's eventual rescue ignited the final spark of resolve within both him and Qian Mingzhu, setting them on paths of growth that would intertwine their destinies in ways yet unforeseen. Though the layers of the past thickened between the three of them, a new understanding rippled through their connections, compelling them to chart new beginnings. As Lin Mian healed and Lin found his footing, they shared a moment of deep introspection, reflecting on the unpredictable nature of love and fate. The future lay before them, perpetually unwritten, a tapestry waiting to be woven together, colored with the struggles they had faced and the bonds they were forging anew. Each of them continued their journey, forever changed, yet united by the threads of a shared story, resonating with hope and the promise of what was to come. Love can be both a bond and a burden. Lin stood before the full-length mirror, his heart heavy as he adjusted his tie, preparing for a wedding that felt more like a shackle than a celebration. Qian Mingzhu, elegant and poised, appeared in the doorway, her smile a delicate facade that barely concealed the tension simmering beneath. As he exchanged vows with her, a part of him remained tethered to Lin Mian, the girl whose laughter haunted his thoughts and whose disappearance had ignited a fire within him. The emotional gulf between them widened as he felt the weight of his choices pressing down. The ceremony felt surreal, like a dream in which every word echoed hollowly against the void where Lin Mian should have been. Despite his physical bond to Qian Mingzhu, every heartbeat reminded him of Lin Mian. They had navigated childhood together, their lives intertwined like threads of a tapestry, and their connection remained unbroken, even in the face of Lin's new reality. Lin Mian was still held captive by the very darkness he had sought to escape. Her plight gripped him, pushing him to uncover the extent of the danger and the secrets hidden in the shadows of their city. Each day, as Mingzhu prepared for events and behaved graciously in the public eye, Lin's thoughts were consumed by Lin Mian's fate. He could feel her presence everywhere, in the songs that played on the radio, in the memories of their shared childhood beneath the cherry blossoms, each recollection sharp and painful. As Lin plunged deeper into his investigation, he discovered unsettling truths about the men who orchestrated Lin Mian's abduction. Each revelation drove him further away from his commitment to Mingzhu and deeper into a realm of fear and uncertainty. Conversations with underworld informants and whispered confidences led him on a perilous journey through back alleys and hidden clubs. The more he learned, the more he understood that time was no longer on his side. With every scoop of information, Lin's obsession grew, fueled by determination to save Lin Mian before it was too late. Then one night, in the dim light of a bar thick with intrigue, he crossed paths with a man who revealed a shocking twist to the tale. Qian Mingzhu had a latent connection to Qin Li, the very man Lin feared. Although she was disguised as an ally, her family's influence was intertwined with the dangers that Lin Mian faced. Lin felt his heart constrict. The revelation left him wrestling with conflicting emotions. Was Mingzhu his confidant, or yet another obstacle in his path? His love for Lin Mian wrestled with the new loyalty expectations, creating a tempest within him that left him sleepless. With the pressure mounting, Lin knew he had to act before it was too late. He reached out to Qian Mingzhu, determined to corner her with the truth. In a secluded cafe, under the glow of flickering lanterns, he confronted her about the information he had gathered. "You knew," he said, voice steady but laced with betrayal. "You knew about Qin Li and Lin Mian's captivity." The silence that followed felt like a gaping chasm. Mingzhu's expression faltered as the weight of his anguish bore down upon her. "I didn't want it to be this way, Lin," she replied, her voice faltering. My family. They're tangled in this mess. I thought of you, too. Her eyes glistened in the pale light, revealing a vulnerability that surprised him. I thought marrying me would provide you security, a way out of this chaos. But for Shi-Lin, security felt like a mirage. Love didn't conform to the neat lines drawn by societal expectations, nor could it be bartered between enemies disguised as allies. With a heavy heart, he took a step back, their connection fraying further still. I need to save her, he admitted quietly, the edge of desperation in his voice. It was a point of no return. He could no longer navigate this maze with obligations and masks. The sharp contrast between love and duty had become unbearable. This newfound clarity propelled Shi-Lin into action. He decided to align with Mingju, not as a husband, but as a partner driven by a shared goal. Together, they would confront the underworld darkness that had ensnared Lin Mian. An unexpected bond began as they worked in tandem to formulate a plan to infiltrate the layers of crime linked to Qin Li. As night fell on the city, they entered the lion's den, prepared to face the intricacies of deceit weaving through their worlds. In a tense standoff, they finally unveiled Lin Mian's location. With newfound resolve, Shi-Lin stepped forward, heart pounding against the weight of hope and fear. The final confrontation was charged with urgency, the stakes higher than they had ever been. They were not just fighting for Lin Mian, they were fighting for their souls, their sense of purpose in the whirlwind of a world that had rapidly spiraled out of control. As the dust began to settle, Shi-Lin stood at a precipice, gazing at the horizon, contemplating the depth of his connections, his love for Lin Mian, and the sharp realities of his choices. The journey they endured would forever change them, but one thread remained unmistakable. Hope thrived. Though the future remained uncertain, the silent promise swelled within him, a commitment to be the force that would protect Lin Mian and salvage their bond, no matter the cost. In a world where alliances shift like sand, the line between savior and fool blurs. Shi-Lin stood in the shadows of a derelict warehouse, his heart pounding as he carefully observed the guards stationed outside. Inside, the quiet whimper of Lin Mian echoed through the dilapidated structure, her presence a powerful reminder of everything he had fought for. He had promised to rescue her, and today was the day he would either fulfill that promise or lose everything he cherished. The stench of oil and rust filled the air as he meticulously planned his next move. Armed with information from a reliable informant and the adrenaline coursing through his veins, Shi-Lin grabbed a pipe that lay on the ground, its cold metal a stark contrast to the warmth of his determination. As he launched himself at the guards, the confrontation was swift and chaotic. He had mastered the art of deception, feigning vulnerability to outsmart his foes. In a breathtaking and violent maneuver, he dodged a punch, landing a solid blow to one guard while using the element of surprise to tackle another. With quick, calculated moves, he fought his way past the men encircling Lin Mian, who lay tied up but not broken. Finally breaking through to her, he knelt beside Lin Mian, cutting her bonds with the very blade he had wielded against her captors. Their eyes locked. In that moment, they shared more than words could speak. The burden of sacrifice, the thrill of reunion, and the new reality waiting for them both. I thought I lost you, he breathed, pulling her into a desperate embrace before they both turned to escape. Just as they neared the exit, a dark shadow loomed. Qin Li, flanked by his bodyguards, blocked their path with an unsettling calmness. You've come so far, Shi-Lin, he drawled, a mocking smile playing on his lips. But this is where the game ends. The tension in the air thickened, an electric charge that set Shi-Lin's instincts on fire. He'd prepared for this moment, but never expected the stakes to rise so frighteningly high. Shi-Lin could feel Lin Mian trembling beside him as the realization struck home. Qin Li was not just a businessman, he wielded power over the powerful, a puppeteer pulling strings while the world remained blissfully ignorant. You can't escape, Qin Li continued, his voice dripping with malice. I hold secrets that could bury your dear Qian family. They're entrenched in my world, and your journey leads nowhere but despair." As the weight of those words sank in, Shilin's mind raced. Sure, they had beaten physical opponents, but now they faced an insidious threat lurking in the shadows. Qinli's grasp on the Qian family, with all its corruption laid bare, meant that their lives would remain intertwined with his malicious designs. Shilin felt anger swelling within him, battling against the natural fear of losing Lin Mian all over again. Determined not to let despair take root, he turned to Lin Mian, whose gaze was piercing through the confusion and despair. "We can't back down. Not now," he urged, his voice steady. Her resilience ignited something in him, and together they concocted a plan within the chaos, one that required courage unseen, a willingness to sacrifice everything to dismantle Qinli's grip over their lives. As they rallied their efforts, Shilin recalled the alliances he had forged along the way. He swiftly contacted Qian Mingzhu, forming a fragile but crucial truce. She held insider knowledge that could turn the tide. Urgency propelled him as he reached out for her aid, knowing the risk, but recognizing the necessity. The plan that followed was shaky, tethered by time and uncertainty, but they had one aim: to expose Qinli and unleash the truth that would sever the hold he had over the Qian family. With Lin Mian at his side, Shilin felt emboldened. They executed their plan with precision, uncovering documents and recordings that revealed the depths of Qinli's corruption, a tangled web of bribery, coercion, and human exploitation masked behind his polished facade. Each piece of information shattered the illusion of control that he had exuded, and the realization that the walls around him were tumbling down sent tremors through his authority. In a final confrontation, as the evidence flooded the boardroom where Qinli stood like a king atop his throne, Shilin faced him head-on. The man who had held so many lives captive was cornered, and for the first time, Shilin saw fear flickering in those cold, dark eyes. "You're nothing without your secrets," he declared, feeling the tide of power shift. Lin Mian stood beside him, a force of strength and conviction, silent yet resolute, a symbol of their shared pain and determination. The fall of Qinli wasn't just a victory over the sinister machinations of one man. It was a revelation that love and courage could rewrite their destinies. As the dust settled, Shilin and Lin Mian stood together, their fingers entwined like roots newly unfurled, aware that despite their victory, the world outside still spun with turbulence. They would navigate the aftermath of exposure together. Each moment lived a testament to resilience, hope, and the fragile lines that connect hearts. Days turned into weeks, the complex web of relationships evolving as the aftermath unfolded. Shilin and Lin Mian emerged not only as survivors, but as voices for those who had suffered under the oppressive weight of corruption. Even as they faced uncertainties ahead, a life still rattled by the ghosts of their past, the bond they rekindled was unbreakable, more profound than before. Standing in the daylight after the darkest storm, they embraced the future with tentative optimism, propelled by their shared struggle and the knowledge that together they could overcome even the steepest mountains that life would throw their way. The journey wasn't just about freedom from the past. It was a commitment to forge a new path built on bravery, integrity, and an unwavering bond that united them against whatever challenges lay ahead. Can freedom ever feel like a prison? Back in her homeland, Lin Mian stood at the edge of the bustling street, the once familiar sights now tinged with a suffocating sense of displacement. She took a deep breath, searching for solace amid the cacophony of sounds and the scent of street food wafting in the air. But the trauma of her past clawed at her psyche, each memory more vivid than the last, a cruel reminder of her captivity and the powerlessness she had felt. This was supposed to be her homecoming, a chance to reclaim her life, yet the shadows of her experience lingered, whispering doubts into her heart. Shilin had been her anchor before the storm, a comforting presence who stood by her side through every trial. But now their paths felt irrevocably altered. She caught glimpses of him at social gatherings, always surrounded by the glow of his new life, the warmth of his charm now shared with Qian Mingzhu, the woman he had married under duress. Whenever he smiled at her, affection sparking in his eyes, an icy wedge drove deeper into Lin Mian's heart, a reminder of shared pain transformed into complex emotions. Her chest tightened with resentment and longing, emotions intertwined in an unforgiving knot. Determined to carve out her own path, Lin Mian focused on reclaiming her independence. She sought refuge in her studies, immersing herself in her new passion for social work, using her experiences to advocate for victims similar to her. Each lecture, each interaction with those who shared their stories, chipped away at her emotional barricade. Yet still, waves of insecurity crashed over her. She questioned whether Lin still thought of her, whether their unbreakable bond had truly withstood the test of time. The days grew heavier, burdened by the realization that she might forever stand behind a veil of his new life, a mere spectator to the love she once believed was destined for her. Amid this emotional labyrinth, Lin Mian noticed sudden changes in Lin's demeanor. He would arrive at the cafe where she volunteered, eyes clouded with worry, as if the world rested on his shoulders. A simmering urgency clung to his every gesture, and during stolen moments, he would reach out to her, attempting to bridge the chasm opening between them. One afternoon he confessed over steaming cups of tea, the weight of his confession building as he spoke. "There's something I need to tell you about Qin Li." His voice faltered. The words hung in the air like a fragile promise of revelation. An unexpected twist unraveled before Lin Mian's eyes, a secret Lin had kept hidden, deeper than mere vulnerability. Through the whispers of people in Qin Li's organization, he had learned that her past was not just an isolated horror. The powerful crime lord had leveraged his influence, entwining the Qian family in corruption that reached beyond their comprehension. "He's holding something over them, and I fear it's only a matter of time before it endangers you too," he said urgently. Lin Mian's stomach dropped, the crushing realization dawning on her that the danger she thought was left behind was like a festering wound, still open and raw. This revelation ignited a fire within her, overshadowing her fears. They were no longer haunted by the past. They were warriors taking their first steps into an impending storm. Lin Mian began to take charge, reaching back into her network of survivors and allies, determined to help Lin dismantle the hold Qin Li had over their lives. "We must expose him," Lin Mian asserted, her voice firm with resolve, though uncertainty thrummed in her heart. As they brainstormed, their hands brushed, creating a spark of hope that surged between them, illuminating the dark corners of their past. But as tensions escalated, Lin Mian felt the tightrope they walked growing precarious. The pressure pushed them closer together, yet it also coiled around her heart with a tight grip. Their interactions, once filled with effortless laughter, transitioned into heated discussions about the risks they faced. Shadows of Lin's marriage to Chen Mingju crept back into Lin Mian's mind, gnawing at her confidence. She craved his support, yet she could not shake the feeling that he was still bound by expectations and obligations. In a poignant moment, they found themselves on the rooftop of the cafe after working late into the night, the city sprawling beneath them, alive with flickering lights. "Do you believe we can truly escape this?" Lin Mian asked quietly, her heart laid bare with hope and fear. Lin turned to her, his expression a blend of determination and uncertainty. "Together we can," he replied. But the weight of his commitment felt fragile, hang in the air like a thread ready to snap. The emotional turmoil culminated in a confrontation where old wounds threatened to break open. In that charged moment, Lin Mian, unable to contain her fears and frustrations, faced Lin with tears in her eyes. "You're still tied to her. How can I trust that you'll put us first?" It was a question that echoed in their souls, shaking the very foundation of what they had built amidst the chaos. Lin stepped closer, capturing her gaze. "I can't change my reality overnight, but I promise you, my heart has always belonged to you, Lin Mian. I need you to trust in us, trust that we can fight together." The vulnerable admission hung between them, igniting a flicker of hope amidst the shadows of uncertainty. With their relationship on the edge, Lin Mian found strength in Lin's honesty. Their resolve to confront the external storm grew with each passing day, paving a path forward. As they dove deeper into the intricate plot of deception surrounding them, hand in hand, Lin Mian began to see that while the scars of their past may remain, healing was possible through connection and shared purpose. Together, they set their sights on the horizon, resolved to wrest their lives from the hands of darkness, bound by a love that primarily endured trials and tribulations. In the fading light of the rooftop, they took the first step toward a future that, despite its uncertainty, shimmered with the promise of independence and the understanding that true trust requires vulnerability and bravery. The tension between them began to ease as they breathed in the echoes of hope, their stories intertwined, marching boldly forward into the unknown. Beneath the facade of elegance and power lies an empire built on deception. Lin Mian stood before the imposing office building of Qinli, the man who had turned her life upside down. With every step, the haunting memories of her captivity surged back, echoing whispers of betrayal and suffering. Gone was the timid woman who succumbed to darkness. A fire ignited within her as she resolved to seek justice not just for herself, but for every victim of his cruel machinations. Beside her stood Shilin, his unwavering support, a lifeline in the storm swirling around them. Their shared commitment to uncovering the truth brought them closer, yet the stakes felt insurmountable. With each passing day, they delved deep into the murky underbelly of the criminal world that had ensnared Lin Mian. They met with hesitant connections, piecing together a tapestry of lies as they approached the heart of Qinli's empire. The urgency of their mission grew, the weight of unshared secrets amplifying the emotional tension between them. Lin Mian felt a pang of guilt as she glanced at Shilin, sensing the burden he bore for her sake. Despite their growing bond, shadows of raw anguish and betrayal loomed over them, and they had yet to confront the ghosts of the past. Just when the pieces began to fit into a coherent narrative, a shocking twist unraveled their progress. In a dimly lit cafe, Lin Mian stumbled upon a confidential document that revealed Qian Mingzhu, a name she had come to associate with her pain, was far from a mere pawn in Qinli's game. Jaw clenching in disbelief, she read and reread the lines that detailed Mingzhu's calculated role in orchestrating Lin Mian's abduction. It shattered her perception of their shared realities, her emotions spiraling into confusion. How could someone who appeared as a friend harbor such darkness within? "What does this mean?" she whispered, her voice trembling as she glanced at Shilin, searching for answers he couldn't offer. Qian Mingzhu was involved all along. His features shifted, filled with a mix of concern and regret. "It means we've been misled. We have to confront this head-on. If she's been playing both sides, there could be more at stake than we realized." Together, they resolved to find Mingzhu and demand the truth, hoping to unearth why she would hurt Lin Mian and exploit her vulnerability. The investigation turned perilous as loyalties unraveled, and they began encountering threats that kept them on edge. Days melted into relentless nights, filled with hushed conversations and clandestine meetings that threatened to expose their intentions. One fateful evening, as rain poured from a somber sky, they faced Qian Mingzhu in an abandoned warehouse. Shilin's hand gripped Lin Mian's tightly. They were no longer the frightened victims. They were warriors fighting for their justice. Mingzhu stood at the center, perfectly composed beneath a flickering light, the expression on her face a puzzle of calmness and hidden agendas. "You could have saved so many," Lin Mian spat, anger bubbling beneath her surface. "Why did you involve yourself in this?" Mingzhu tilted her head, a smirk creeping onto her lips. "You're naive, Lin Mian. Life is a game, a complex arrangement. I needed leverage, and you were nothing but a stepping stone for my ascent. I didn't plan for anyone to get in my way, especially not you or Shilin." The air thickened with tension as Lin Mian's heart raced. Betrayal pierced deeper than any wound she had endured during her captivity. "You used me. You helped him to exploit others." "It's your hands that are dirty!" As the confrontation escalated, Shilin stepped forward, planting his feet firmly, fierce determination blazing in his eyes. "No more games, Mingzhu. We will expose you and Qinli for what you really are, In that high-stakes moment, something shifted. Chen Mingzhu's expression softened for a fleeting moment, revealing vulnerability beneath the cold exterior. You don't understand the choices I had to make. Power comes at a cost. But the resonance of her words fell on deaf ears. Lin Mian's emotional wounds throbbed in time with the raw truth surrounding her. The betrayal transformed her pain into a righteous fury that fueled her resolve. She faced Mingzhu, the very embodiment of her traumas, refusing to back down. You make your choices, and you will be held accountable, she declared, her voice steady. What began as a confrontation turned into a breakthrough as Shi Lin and Lin Mian gathered evidence against Mingzhu and linked her to Qin Li's operations. The destruction of their established world was at hand, yet Lin Mian allowed a glimmer of hope to pierce through the despair. Together, they had uncovered the threads of betrayal that tied their lives to those of men like Qin Li, and she saw a path toward justice. In the weeks that followed, evidence from Lin Mian and Shi Lin led to investigations that cracked open the clandestine world of corruption around them. As their courage fueled widespread outrage, Mingzhu was exposed and forced to confront the consequences of her choices. Lin Mian emerged transformed, not merely a survivor, but a warrior of justice, rallying support from others who had endured similar horrors. Through it all, Shi Lin remained steadfast, a partner in both the fight for justice and the delicate renewal of their bond. In their shared struggle, they learned to forgive, heal, and piece together the fragments of their lives that had been shattered by betrayal. As they stood together beneath the warm glow of the sun, each bearing scars from their respective journeys, Lin Mian knew that while the path ahead was still fraught with challenges, the strength she found within herself would guide them both. Their story was just beginning, illuminated by hope, resilience, and the unwavering promise that they would continue to rise against the darkness. Together. In a world where innocence is a commodity and power is a weapon, betrayal cuts deepest. The abandoned warehouse smelled of damp concrete and desperation as Lin Mian faced off against Qin Li, the man responsible for her torment. His dark presence loomed like a specter, and an unsettling calm enveloped him as he prepared to reveal the truth. Beside her stood Shi Lin, his resolve solidified by the flames of their shared experiences. Together, they were united by purpose, but uncertainty clouded the air. As the confrontation intensified, Qin Li leaned back against a dilapidated column, a smirk playing on his lips. You think you've won? You've fought bravely, but Chen Mingzhu has always been 2 steps ahead of you. He paused, relishing the shock glimmering in their eyes. She orchestrated everything, your capture, the cover-ups, and even your precious army of supporters. You've merely been pawns in her game. Lin Mian's heart raced. The revelation turned the chaos of their lives into a chilling puzzle piece. Chen Mingzhu, the very person she had thought was a friend, was a cunning mastermind in a corrupt plot. The foundation of her resolve wavered, but a flicker of determination ignited within. No, she breathed, straightening her spine as the weight of knowledge settled in. Your plans end here, Qin Li, she declared, her voice unwavering despite the uncertainty swirling in her stomach. Shi Lin matched her intensity, ready to stand by her side as they navigated this labyrinth of deceit. Qin Li chuckled, dismissing her declaration. And how do you plan to thwart a powerful network like mine? Beauty and brains are mere trifles against my influence. He motioned toward the dimly lit shadows that denoted the presence of his men, their faces hidden yet menacing. A swell of strength surged through Lin Mian. Beauty is a weapon in its own right, she retorted, her gaze fierce and unwavering. She looked at Shi Lin, their connection grounding her, their shared trauma now fueling a fierce battle for justice. Our experiences, our pain, it's what makes us strong. We won't be silenced. The intensity of the moment forced Lin Mian to recollect everything she had learned from her time imprisoned. The cunning and resourcefulness she had wielded to survive would now serve a greater purpose. Taking a deep breath, she began to weave a strategy that would outsmart Qin Li and his men. You underestimate us. You've left a trail, and we're going to expose each link, every drop of corruption that bleeds into this city. As the tension escalated, a plan formed within her mind, a means to turn Qin Li's strength into his downfall. Your network won't hold together. Connections frayed by your greed will crumble. Lin Mian glanced at Shi Lin, who nodded with unspoken understanding. Their time spent seeking knowledge and gathering allies gave them insight into the chains binding Qin Li's operations. By drawing on their experiences, Lin Mian found clarity amidst the fog of uncertainty. They would turn the tables on Qin Li, using the very people he thought he controlled. Prompted by a flicker of creativity, she knew what she had to do. "Let's make a deal, Qin Li," she said, surprising even herself with the calm authority in her tone. "You let us walk away, and we will ensure your secrets stay hidden. But keep hunting us, and the truth will unravel faster than you think." Qin Li's amusement faded, replaced by a steeliness that made Lin Mian's instincts roar with warning. "And why would I ever trust you?" "Because you thrive on the illusion of control," she responded, a smirk teasing at her lips. "And I will exploit that. The women you've kept chained in the dark, our testimony could shred your empire. So tell me, do you want to live in the light, or shall we expose the rot?" Silence enveloped the warehouse, the tension stretching taut. In that moment, it wasn't just about Lin Mian's survival. It was about reclaiming a future for others, silently suffering in shadows. Their eyes locked, each reading the other's resolve. In one sudden motion, she stepped forward, her beauty wielded like a blade, powerful and precise. The showdown ratcheted up to a fever pitch, emotions running high as Lin Mian played out her final hand. With each word, she painted a vivid picture of what was at stake. "I won't be a pawn anymore. I will expose you, and the women you've silenced will speak their truths. The consequences may crush your empire, but you've underestimated the strength born out of solidarity." Realization flickered in Qin Li's eyes. His smug confidence began to falter. How easy it was to dismiss their strength when fear had concealed it from view. "You're naive," he spat, his irritation rising. "On the contrary," Lin Mian shot back, unyielding. "I'm more aware of your weaknesses than you realize. You may think I'm here to negotiate, but I'm here to destroy the very power that holds women hostage." In a flash, Xu Lin moved, blocking Qin Li's path as Lin Mian advanced, her resolve a powerful current that pulled them both forward. Side by side, they stood, ready to dismantle the wickedness that gripped their lives. Hesitant whispers from the dark corners began to solidify into echoes of support, igniting the hope Lin Mian had fought so desperately for. Standing firm against the tide of intimidation, they were prepared to wear their scars like badges of honor, emboldened by the vulnerability and strength of their shared past. The energy shifted palpably, daring Qin Li to retaliate. Backed into a corner, the weight of truth bore down upon him. With each passing heartbeat, Lin Mian felt the empowering surge of determination swell within her. In the battle of wits against Qin Li, it was not mere beauty or arrogance that would define their victory. It was the strength of resilience and the unity forged in adversity. With one last look at Shi Lin, she knew they were not alone, and that together they would rise against the oppressive system that had once held them captive. The confrontation ignited a transformation that lit the path toward hope, a subsequent journey that would gather strength from the ashes of betrayal, reminding them that sometimes the most potent beauty lies not in the facade, but within the heart itself. In the aftermath of chaos, victory rings hollow. Lin Mian and Shi Lin stood amidst the ruins of what had been a fierce showdown against Qin Li's network, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. Their hearts raced, not just from the fight they had endured, but from the weight of what lay ahead. Qin Li's crimes had been exposed, the veil of secrecy finally lifted, yet the exhilaration of triumph felt tainted. As sirens wailed in the distance, Lin Mian's mind swirled, not with thoughts of victory, but with conflicting emotions that threatened to overwhelm her. As they emerged from the haze of conflict, the stark reality of their lives set in. The aftermath of the confrontation had brought clarity, yet uncertainty lingered like a fog. Lin Mian looked to Xu Lin, whose expression mirrored her own turmoil. Once the bastion of her strength, his commitment to Qian Mingzhu now felt like a betrayal that cut deeply. The air between them hung heavy with unspoken words, and the bond that had grown strong during their fight wavered under the weight of unacknowledged feelings. "And what now?" she asked quietly, the vulnerability in her voice revealing the cracks in her facade. Xu Lin's brow furrowed, his gaze drifting to the ground as if searching for answers in the cracks of the pavement. "I don't know, Lin Mian. I thought we could celebrate." His voice trailed off, leaving a chasm of silence. In this moment, joy felt unattainable. The elation of their triumph was marred by shadows of doubt and pain. The world around Lin Mian appeared starkly different from the moment they fought together. No longer just a victim, she was grappling with her own identity, one forged from struggle and resilience. With her newfound freedom came the daunting challenge of self-discovery. How to reclaim the life that had once been stolen from her. The past had sought to define her, but now, standing at the precipice of a new beginning, she felt its weight crushing down. It was time to shatter the remnants of her previous self and redefine who she was. As the days turned into restless nights, Lin Mian immersed herself in her advocacy work, channeling her trauma into a mission to help others like herself. She formed connections with other survivors, sharing stories of strength and solidarity that brought healing. Each glimpse of vulnerability within them rekindled her spirit, but the absence of Xu Lin's presence beside her felt like a gaping hole, a reminder of the bond they once had. Their conversations turned sporadic and uncertain, like ships passing in the night, both navigating the tumultuous waters of their shifting relationship. One evening, Lin Mian sat alone in her small apartment, an unlit candle flickering gently as she reflected on the web of emotions that held her captive. Just then, a message pinged on her phone, jolting her out of her thoughts. It was Xu Lin. "Can we talk?" The message read, simple yet laden with unspoken tension. Heart racing, she wondered what he would say. Was he still committed to Qian Mingzhu, or had the turmoil of their fight sparked a realization within him? Gathering her thoughts, she quickly typed back, "Yes." "Where?" They met at the small coffee shop, where they had spent countless hours weaving dreams and laughter before the darkness encroached on their lives. The cozy atmosphere felt comforting, yet the weight of anticipation pressed down on Lin Mian as she entered. Xu Lin was already there, running his fingers through his hair, a familiar habit that still managed to disarm her. "Hey," he greeted, offering a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. The space between them felt charged as they settled into an uneasy silence. Eventually, he spoke up. "I've been thinking about everything, about you, about us." His voice wavered, revealing an openness that tugged at her heartstrings. "I don't know if we can simply go back, Xu Lin," Lin Mian admitted, her throat tightening. "So much has changed, and what you have with Mingzhu complicates everything." He looked down, and in that moment, the distance between them felt insurmountable. "I know I made promises, but..." He paused, eyes searching hers for understanding. "I can't ignore what we've been through together. You've changed me." Every word pulled at Lin Mian's heart, yet the memory of betrayal loomed large. "But are we back to being friends? Can it really be that simple?" she whispered, fear enveloping her like a suffocating blanket. "I don't want to lose you," he replied, honesty echoing in his words. "But I'm still navigating my feelings for Mingzhu. I never meant for you to feel like I chose her over you." "Choosing her left me feeling discarded," Lin Mian said, holding his gaze. "I thought we were different." Xu Lin's expression darkened. "We are different. What we have isn't something I can take lightly, but I can't just abandon my life either." As their conversation sank deeper, it became clear that even amidst their achievements, unresolved feelings festered within them. The emotional weight hung palpably in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Suddenly, an interruption shattered their moment. Qian Mingzhu entered the cafe, confidence radiating from her presence. She spotted them immediately, her smile resembling a predator's gaze locking onto its prey. Lin Mian's heart raced, and she sensed Shilin's body tense beside her. "Looks like you two are plotting something," Mingzhu said smoothly, her tone light, but the undertone laced with accusation. How sweet. The confrontation solidified the tension within Lin Mian. With feelings tugging at her heartstrings and the fractures of their relationship laid bare, she felt the urgency for action. Qian Mingzhu wasn't merely a figure from their past. She was a reminder of what Lin Mian needed to confront. The definition of their shared future remained in limbo, and the key lay in breaking away from the constraints Qian Mingzhu symbolized. "I won't let you control my life anymore," Lin Mian said firmly, surprising even herself. The resolve in her voice echoed with newfound confidence, a mixture of anger and liberation coursing through her. Silence enveloped their table, the tension palpable as Mingzhu raised an eyebrow in surprise. "Is that so?" Mingzhu challenged, stroking the edge of her cup, a queen unshaken by her existence being questioned. The challenge ignited Lin Mian's spirit as she met her gaze head-on, no longer willing to cower. "You may manipulate others, but I won't let you manipulate me or our future," she declared, daring to take control of her narrative, even if it meant facing the darkness once more. As the confrontation unfolded, Lin Mian felt a rush of clarity wash over her. Each declaration was a step toward reclaiming her identity. Standing taller, she recognized her strength, a beautiful, fierce force forged through trials. Whatever lay ahead, she would no longer be defined by the streak of betrayal or vulnerability. They were all intertwined in a complex tapestry of love, pain, and newfound strength. In that cafe, amidst the bustle of life, Lin Mian initiated a journey towards rediscovering herself, finding beauty within her scars, and stepping into a brighter future determined by her choices, one that promised hope, resilience, and the courage to embrace love's complexities without fear. From victim to victor, Lin Mian's journey was just beginning. After the tumultuous events that had turned her life upside down, she stood at the crossroads of despair and hope. The embers of trauma still smoldered within her, but instead of allowing them to consume her, she felt an undeniable urge to transform her life. The echoes of her past whispered painful reminders, yet amid that darkness, a fiery resolve ignited, propelling her toward a new purpose. As she settled into a small office space that overlooked a busy street filled with laughter and life, Lin Mian began to carve out her mission. This was not merely a physical space. It was the foundation for a charity she envisioned, one that aimed to empower victims of human trafficking. She delved into research, attending workshops, and connecting with survivors, allowing their stories to etch themselves onto her heart. Every heartbreaking tale fueled her determination, further solidifying her commitment to justice. She knew that she had lived through the unthinkable, and now it was time to reclaim her narrative and use her voice as a beacon for others still trapped in silence. Her journey was not without challenges. Each day, as she gathered her thoughts into action plans, self-doubt nipped at her heels, reminding her of the fear that had once paralyzed her. That fear manifested as anxiety, swirling in her chest, especially as she considered the financial constraints of starting a charity. It was during one of these moments of hesitation that Shilin entered her office unexpectedly, a wry smile lifting the corners of his mouth. "I thought you might suffocate in here if I didn't rescue you." His playful quip sent a wave of warmth through her. "I'm just trying to build something meaningful," she replied, her voice a tad more unsteady than she intended. "But it's daunting." Shilin's presence filled the room as he leaned against the doorframe, exuding an air of nonchalance that was comforting. "You're stronger than you think, Lin Mian. What you've been through shouldn't define you. It should empower you." His words reverberated in the space, offering solace and prompting a flicker of confidence. Yet their connection was complicated. Lin Mian couldn't completely ignore the emotional turmoil that lingered from their past. Shilin was bound to Chen Mingzhu, a fact that weighed heavily on her heart. Despite his unwavering support, she questioned whether their paths could truly harmonize after all they had endured. Moments of vulnerability intertwined with the looming shadows of their complicated relationship threatened to pull her focus from her mission. One chilly afternoon, Lin Mian attended an advocacy meeting, her heart pounding with anxiety as she prepared to speak. The room buzzed with voices passionate about change, yet the weight of confrontation loomed large. As she stood up, her vision blurred momentarily. Was she ready for this? Yet as she shared her story, voices faded into the background. She poured her heart into every word, weaving her own experience with the urgency of others who had faced similar horrors. The echoes of her voice dissipated the facade of fear that had gripped her for so long. At that moment, something shifted within her. The hushed room burst into applause, not just as validation of her courage, but as a reminder that she belonged in this fight. Tears of relief mingled with determination as she realized the power of vulnerability. She was no longer just a survivor. She was a voice for the voiceless. However, just as she started to find her footing, an unexpected twist upended her journey. An anonymous call reached her during an evening of planning committees, a threat warning her to abandon her cause. "Step back, or you'll regret it," the voice commanded, leaving her alarmed. With her heart pounding in her chest, Lin Mian felt panic set in, but was determined not to let fear dictate her actions. When the storm of anxiety hit, Shilin was right beside her, relentless in his support. That bond they shared, messy as it was, bolstered her resolve. "This is what they want, Lin Mian. They want you to be scared. We have to confront it head-on," he urged, grasping her hands firmly. In his presence, she found the strength to push past the shadows. Together, they began strategizing on how to keep the momentum of their cause alive, despite the threats. Days transformed into weeks as Lin Mian worked tirelessly alongside Shilin. They rallied community support, organizing events to shed light on the injustices of human trafficking. Yet, as they grew closer in advocacy, whispers of doubt resurfaced in Lin Mian's mind. Would Shilin eventually choose Chen Mingzhu over her when the dust settled? Their bond deepened during long nights spent mapping out strategy, but Lin Mian grappled with her own longing, a desire for connection tangled with the reality of their situation. It culminated one night when they found themselves beneath the starlit sky, the city's sounds fading as they shared stories laced with laughter and heavy silences. "I wish things were simpler," he admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Lin Mian turned to him, the rawness of the moment revealing the intertwined path they had trudged. "Me too. But this is real," she replied, "and I won't let fear control me anymore." In an electric moment, their eyes locked. Confessions hung unspoken in the air. It was a truth neither could fully address, yet their connection had transformed into something profound. The uncertainty of the future pressed around them, but Lin Mian felt empowered. She could not allow a fear of betrayal to paralyze her. As she continued to pour herself into her advocacy work and rally those still in shadows, her resolve blossomed. Eventually, she organized a large public event, bringing together survivors, advocates, and community supporters, framing it as a celebration of resilience rather than a mere protest against the heinous acts of human trafficking. The day arrived, and she stood on stage, surrounded by those she had fought for and fought alongside. In her heart, Lin Mian felt a sense of responsibility mixed with pride, knowing she was reclaiming her identity. As she stood before the crowd, she spoke not just as a survivor, but as a leader igniting a movement. Fueled by passion and a desire for change, she delivered words that resonated deep within her own healing heart. "We are not defined by our past," she declared, voice firm with conviction. "We are defined by our strength to rise and fight for those who cannot. Together, we reclaim our stories." The event culminated in a powerful wave of connection, hope, and solidarity. The outpouring of support from the community reignited her belief that she was on the right path. As Lin Mian stepped off the stage, tears brimmed in her eyes, not from fear or doubt, but from feeling alive in a way she had never thought possible. Lin Mian was no longer merely a victim of her circumstances, nor was she a shadow of the girl she used to be. She had become a fierce advocate and a voice for those still silenced. The echoes of her past remained, but they no longer controlled her. She had become the author of her own narrative. And as she looked toward the future with optimism and a renewed sense of purpose while standing alongside Shilin, she knew this was just the beginning of something transformative, an uncharted journey to reclaim not just her identity, but to inspire others to do the same. Love often requires sacrifice, especially when the heart makes its choice in silence. Lin Mian stood at the edge of the bustling park, inhaling the crisp air that whispered remnants of summer. A kaleidoscope of sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting soft shadows that danced around her. Memories of laughter and shared moments with Shilin enveloped her mind, but today felt different. Today was a pivotal moment, a bittersweet farewell woven with unspoken words hanging heavy in the air between them. As she turned, her eyes found Shilin's, his expression a blend of understanding and sorrow. For so long, he had been her confidant, her ally in the fight for justice, and her companion in healing. Yet the complexities of their past now loomed large like a shadow, where feelings of love intertwined with the reality of his commitment to Chen Mingju. Lin Mian felt her heart ache, a signal that the road each had traveled had led them to this precarious juncture. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Shilin's voice drifted over the sound of laughter from a nearby playground, an attempt to bridge the silence that hung like a heavy curtain. "I never thought we'd end up here. Like this. I thought we'd be headed towards something else," she replied, her words carrying the weight of confusion. "But things change. People change." Lin Mian's heart was a battleground of defiance and longing, each pulse echoing her commitment to independence, yet shadows of their shared past threatened to pull her back into the depths of uncertainty. Shilin stepped closer. "You're not the girl I met back then, Lin Mian. You've transformed into someone incredibly strong. It's amazing to see you fighting for those who cannot fight for themselves." Pride swelled within him, yet sorrow laced his words. The struggle he observed within her mirrored his own turmoil. The memories surged, a time when vulnerability exuded from her every pore, a girl learning to walk through the shadows left by tormentors. Each step back into the sunlight had been painfully hard-won, as if every moment of joy dared to remind her of what it had taken to earn it. And in the midst of healing, she found her purpose, to amplify the voices of the silenced, reclaiming agency for those who had lost theirs. "I won't let my past dictate my future," she affirmed, glancing away to reclaim focus. "I'm determined to create change, and I can't do that tethered to fear or lingering doubts." "Then I'm honored to have been part of that journey," Shilin said, respect shining in his eyes like warm sunlight. But then, the shadow of Chen Mingju crept back into his expression, reality grounding both of them in uncertainty. "But I still have obligations. I can't abandon my marriage." Lin Mian felt a rush of emotions surge within her, anger mixed with sadness as she struggled to reconcile her feelings. "But whatever is between us, does that not count for anything?" The vulnerability in her voice revealed everything they had shared. Every moment encapsulated in an unquenchable connection lingered in the air. "Of course it does, but I can't have both," he said, his voice firm but tinged with hesitation. "I just wished for a different ending." His gaze bore into hers, unearthing unsaid feelings of love and loyalty, illuminating the fissures in the bond they had forged. Taking a step back, Lin Mian fought the tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. "Maybe it's time we accept that it's just not our time. We need to grow, and if that means walking separate paths, then I have to be okay with that." The raw honesty of her words reverberated with the immense weight of realization. She was ready for more than just love. She yearned for her own identity. Silence settled between them, pregnant with tangled emotions and uncharted territory. Shilin opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, his intensity flickered with an understanding that crushed them both, the reality setting in that their paths were diverging. "Promise me one thing," she implored, her voice steady yet laced with warmth. "Promise that you'll still believe in us, even if we can't be together." As he nodded, a single tear slipped down Lin Mian's cheek, and she allowed herself to feel the weight of goodbye. In those parting moments, she felt liberated, a sense of release from the shackles that had bound her to their shared past. "Always believe," Shilin murmured, stepping forward and wrapping his arms around her in a warm embrace, imprinting the memory of their connection in her heart. The lingering warmth enveloped both of them, entwining their souls as they held on for what might be the last time. Moments later, as they drew apart, Lin Mian turned her back to him, feeling the steady rhythm of life move forward. A poignant farewell filled with respect, yet hollowed by silent yearning. She walked away, each step echoing with renewed strength as she stepped headlong into her own story. In that lonely moment, a deep sense of purpose replaced the ache within her heart. Lin Mian was ready to embrace a world carved anew, a journey where her identity would blossom through her advocacy and empowerment of others. She felt a swell of hope emerging, a promise to herself to embrace vulnerability while fostering resilience. As the sun dipped below the horizon, she gripped the fabric of her destiny. Stepping confidently into her purpose, she recognized that love could exist beyond romance. It could emerge in the ripples of inspiration shared, in the lives she would touch, and in the identity she would ultimately claim. With that recognition, Lin Mian ventured forth, ready to become the voice for countless women who would find solace in her strength, reclaiming an identity woven by resilience and an unwavering belief in hope. Empowerment rises from the ashes of despair. Lin Mian stood on the stage before a rapt audience, her heart pounding in rhythm with the palpable energy surrounding her. Once defined by the shadows of her past, she had transformed into a beacon of hope and strength, ready to wield her pain as a catalyst for change. The bright lights illuminated her resolve, each warm beam a reminder of the journey she had undertaken to reclaim her narrative. Today was not just an unveiling of her mission, it was a declaration of her unwavering spirit. The auditorium buzzed with anticipation. A diverse crowd gathered to hear her story, the story of resilience, recovery, and retribution against the injustices faced by countless women. Lin Mian inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of her experiences coalesce into a singular purpose. In the past, she had felt nothing but constricted by fear, but now she craved justice for her sisters in arms. She was no longer the damsel waiting to be rescued. She stood proudly as a force to be reckoned with. As she began to speak, Lin Mian's voice resonated with raw emotion. Each of us has stories that shape us, stories filled with suffering and betrayal. But in those darkest moments, we also find seeds of strength waiting to be nurtured. The audience leaned in closer, captivated by her authenticity. She spoke of the injustices she had witnessed, echoing the voices of women trapped in a silent nightmare that mirrored her own past. But beneath the rising tide of empowerment, Lin Mian grappled with shadows of uncertainty, a poignant reminder of her complex relationship with Shilin, who watched from the back of the room. His presence, both comforting and painful, stirred conflicting emotions within her. Despite his commitment to Chen Mingzhu, the bond they shared lingered in the air, unyielding and unsteady. He had been her anchor in tumultuous seas, yet now stood as a reminder of what had been and what could never be. In that moment of vulnerability, Lin Mian acknowledged the bittersweet reality of love, entwined with sacrifice. She drew strength from the pain, her mission no longer just about seeking justice, but also about reclaiming her identity and navigating a future she could mold. As the speech unfolded, Lin Mian noticed the glimmer of hope reflected in the eyes of her audience. Yet just as she began to feel untouchable, a familiar figure entered her periphery, Chen Mingzhu. The woman whose actions had once fueled her despair now stood defiantly in the crowd, arms crossed, an obsession with control shimmering in her eyes. Lin Mian hesitated momentarily, the sight of her captivating both her fears and resentment. "I see you're trying to play the martyr," Mingju said, her voice dripping with condescension, cutting through Lin Mian's moment of triumph. "But you have no idea how this world really works. You're merely a pawn." A chill rippled through the audience. Lin Mian could hear their murmurs of surprise and concern. Yet, instead of recoiling, she felt a fire ignite within her. "It's time we redefine what it means to be powerful," Lin Mian responded calmly, the undertones of her voice laced with unwavering conviction. "I'm exposing your games for what they are. The time of silencing voices is over. We will not disappear into shadows." With those words, a surge of determination propelled her forward. The crowd erupted in applause, but Lin Mian remained steadfast in her focus. This was about more than just her. It was an echo of the journeys shared, a call to rise together against oppression. A crucial turning point loomed ahead with the weight of expectations pressing down on her. In the aftermath of the confrontation, she reflected quietly backstage, her heart drumming as Shilin approached. "What you said out there was powerful," he praised, warmth evident in his gaze. "You shone a light on everything we've fought for." Lin Mian met his gaze, lost for a moment in memories laced with both laughter and longing. "Thank you for being there for me, for believing in me when I struggled to believe in myself." Her voice softened, yet the reality of their situation hung in the air, too massive to ignore. But then, Shilin's expression shifted, a flicker of conflict crossing his features. "Lin Mian, I still have feelings for you, but..." His words hung tantalizingly, drawing a deep breath from her lungs. "But you are committed to another," she finished, her heart heavy. The bittersweet nature of their connection flooded her with both sorrow and understanding. "That's not what I want," he admitted. "But I can't walk away from my responsibilities." Lin Mian nodded, the ache evident in her heart. "You have your own battles to fight. I'll cherish what we've shared, but I also need to walk my own path. I don't want to lose you," he pleaded, voice tense with emotion. "You won't lose me, Shilin. Our bond doesn't evaporate just because we're not together in the same way anymore." She placed a gentle hand on his arm, attempting to convey the weight of authenticity in her words. "This isn't a goodbye. It's a new beginning. For both of us." As she stepped away, Lin Mian realized she was reclaiming something powerful. Each stride she took was a declaration of her strength and a promise to forge a new identity. Shilin remained, a heart tethered to her by a complex love, but she felt emboldened to follow the path she had carved out for herself. In the weeks that followed, Lin Mian's advocacy took root and blossomed. She organized rallies, collaborated with local organizations, and built a network of support that resonated deeply with those she sought to empower. Her voice became a clarion call for change, reverberating throughout the community. Each moment spent with survivors reinforced her sense of purpose. She was no longer just a face in the crowd, but a champion urging others to reclaim their narratives. Yet even as she embraced her mission, the memories of her bond with Shilin lingered, bittersweet alongside her achievements. It was in those reflective moments that Lin Mian found clarity. Her journey would never diminish the connection they once shared. As she gazed out at the rising sun, illuminating the world with hope, she recognized that both love and independence could coexist. By bravely facing her past, she shaped a future in which she could impact the lives of others while remaining true to herself. Lin Mian stepped forward with her heart wide open, ready to create a legacy defined by empathy and strength. In her journey, she would forge new bonds while keeping the essence of what had been radiant, a testament to the complexities of love and the profound power of self-discovery. Now that you know the ending of this story, full of twists and mysteries, what do you think could have happened if Lin Mian had made different choices? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more exciting stories like this one. See you next time.